Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the August meeting of the Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Commission. And at this time, I'd like to call this meeting to order. And Mr. Ricky Turner, if you'll give us a prayer and a pledge of allegiance, please, sir.
Sounds good, sounds good. Let us pray to our God and our Heavenly Father, creator of mankind and everything therein. We're so thankful for this day and for all your many blessings. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for this assembly of city councilmen, parks and recs, and all those who govern this city accordingly. We pray as we get ready to go into another school year that you will be with those administrators, the teachers, the students, the parents, those who work, the custodians, the cafeteria, the crossing guards, the SROs, and just protect and guide and ensure that we have a safe and productive school year this year. Continue to be with this nation and the world over. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Ricky. So looking at our agenda, we're proud to say we've got a nice full agenda today that's got a lot of neat things in there, a lot of new programs coming up. So without further ado, first item on new business is Nate.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to just bring to you all today just kind of a snapshot. We ended our fiscal year and started a new one in July. We had a year that was down in revenue, just accordingly, mostly because of COVID measures. We had a lot of mandated facility closures and the inability to rent our facilities, along with several league cancellations, summer camp cancellations. Burrow Beach didn't open for a whole season. And we had many other tweaks related to the pandemic. So we ended up about $615,000 under budget in revenue. If you look at that report, you can see that. For your reference, I also brought just kind of a snapshot of the same report for the past 5 years, what it looks like. And you can see where we were trending before 2020, and it shows really where we were and we're without the pandemic. I think we would have far exceeded where we thought we would have been. But those circumstances happened. Our staff stepped up. We challenged them to work and adapt and still provide the most innovative and creative and safe spaces that we can to the public and the things that people are expected of Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation, and they did that. So they answered that call, and we were able to offset our inability to bring in that revenue by able to go under budget $1,837,700. So I'm proud of our staff. It's been a challenging year, but they stepped up big time. We're able to give that money, save that money, and limit the hiring and the expenses that we normally incur. So, like I said, I just wanted to give that to you. My goal was to bring more of this type of information, just as update information, so you can see how we're operating on a business front at our facilities. You can also see kind of the trend lines of where we've been for the last 5 years with our facilities. I think if Gary Arbit here was here, he'd puff his chest out pretty big, because Adams Tennis Complex really keeps going up and up and still had a great year. But like I said, it was a challenging year. We were able to offset some of those lost revenues with cutting our budget, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions for Nate? As he mentioned, I'd like to reiterate and hats off to the staff and thank them again for a very good job during a tough year and a situation, and definitely made the best of it. So thanks again for that. There's no other questions for Nate. We'll move on to the next item, and Susan Hicks is going to introduce us to a new coordinator.
Hi. I want to introduce you to our new Cultural Arts Facility Coordinator, Leslie Wright. She has been with Cultural Arts for 2 years as a programmer, and we're really excited to have her come on board as the new Facility Coordinator. Leslie?
I'm very grateful and excited about this opportunity, so thank you.
Great. Well, welcome, Leslie. We're glad to have you. and know you're going to enjoy what you're doing.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'm going to introduce one more person. She's sitting out there. We had Cindy Nance, who was a longtime employee for the Parks and Recreation Department. She was our finance and personnel supervisor. She retired after 37 years last week, so we're tremendously grateful for her service. And Monica, just stand up. This is Monica Donahue. She's taking that spot as our finance and personnel supervisor. She's been with us for many years and has just done an outstanding job. So lots of changes. We've got great people who are filling these roles.
Great. Well, welcome, Monica and Leslie. Thank y'all so much. Susan, you're still up?
I am still up. So I am here to ask permission to do a Frightensburg class this year. Last year, we started Frightensburg out of Cannonsburg. It's a scary haunt walkthrough. It was very successful, and I'm taking it over this year, Cultural Arts is. And we want to offer a class so that kind of goes along with this event. So the class is we have 2 classes, one for youth and one for adults. The cost is $25 to participate and $50 for a supply fee, which includes some costuming aspects, some makeup, and all of that. So the class is basically, we will teach them how to scare, and we will give them that ability of how to do makeup for their character and create a character and costuming and props, what's appropriate to do when you scare someone and what is not. So we're just going to have a lot of fun with that, and then they'll get a chance to audition to actually participate in Frightensburg and be on that haunted trail scare part of it. So I'm just asking for approval. Do y'all have any questions?
Questions for Susan?
Are there rules for haunted houses?
Yes, there are rules for haunted houses.
There weren't when I grew up.
Okay, I'll have my eye on you if you apply.
Okay, if there's no questions for Susan,
Do we need a motion?
I'll entertain a motion that we approve the monster training class for Frightensburg. Rick, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none, of course. Thank you, Susan. Look forward to that event always. That's a lot of fun every year. Thomas?
Good afternoon, members of the commission. Disc golf has been a popular sport throughout Murfreesboro for 20 years now. When the first disc golf course at Barfield Crescent Park was entered, now private courses have sprang up around the area. But 20 years later, we're still only limited to one disc golf course here in Murfreesboro. When the pandemic hit, only a couple of venues were open, the Greenway and the disc golf course. So the number of disc golfers has exploded over the last couple of years. The Professional Disc Golf Association reports over almost 100,000 new members within the last calendar year, which is huge growth. So now when you go to play disc golf at Barfield Crescent Park, oftentimes you're waiting each hole because the course is crowded. So Nate was able to allocate or designate 56 acres within our park systems that was basically unusable for structures because of the different elevation changes within the property. So we began to explore that, and working with the maintenance crew, have been able to develop a temporary disc golf course there by doing everything in-house. The only real cost to us, which we did out of our operating budget, was the cost of the baskets, but because we're already a registered dealer of discs through our wilderness station, we're able to get those at cost. So for very minimal cost, we now have a playable temporary course at 1318 Central Valley Road, which is adjacent to the trailhead there at Central Valley, and it would tie in, so there's parking available. We currently have porta-johns, but hopefully in the future we hope to add permanent restroom facilities for that section of the Greenway as well. So it's a good match. It's a good use of city property. What we'd like to do is put in permanent tee pads, and another resource we're able to utilize is the remnants of the turf fields at Siegel Park, where they cut the ends off. Those pieces are large enough for us to build the tee pads at the new disc golf course utilizing that synthetic turf, which would be a huge cost savings. So we're proposing to make this a permanent course with no additional costs within our operating budgets, handle it through the operating budgets. When it's said and done, that'll be a new championship tournament level course. And so we're asking your approval to make that a permanent part of our park system and to name it the Central Valley Disc Golf Course. And I'm willing to answer any questions you may have.
If I remember, that parking lot there is very large anyways, so there'll be plenty of parking.
Mr. Chairman, if I can highlight just the work that went into this. Thomas himself and then our maintenance staff and athletic staff did all of the manual labor, all of the clearing, everything that it took to install this new course. And I mean, if we were to bid this project, it would have been over $100,000 to do that, and we've done it with minimal in-house work. So we can't say enough about the maintenance staff and Thomas, their leadership in getting that done. So it saved us a lot of money.
And that's
What do you-
obvious.
What do you anticipate the cost being, just so we can add, just so I,
Well, to add benches, trash cans, to do basically what we have at Barfield Park, looking at roughly $20,000 if we go with the commercial high-grade benches. If we do things in-house, continue to build stuff in-house and do things in-house, we can reduce that significantly. But I think within our operating budget over the next 2 years, we'll be able to find those allocations without having to submit for additional funding.
disc golf seems to me to be one of those really low maintenance cost, kind of, really high value. You get a lot of use out of it. You can go out there and play around in an hour and a half or something and really get some good outside time. So,
Those funds are already allocated in our operating budget through fixed assets. So it's something we'll go ahead and start purchasing if you're okay with this concept.
all right, I'll make a motion, we approve.
Let me ask one more question. The 56 acres currently, how is it being maintained? I mean, is it,
Well, at the point that we were in a partnership with the water department, so the water department was bush hogging that area,
Okay.
that 56 acres. Now that our maintenance crew has come in and we've built the course, our maintenance crew goes over once a week and mows the fairways, and then every 2 weeks, the water department gave them the bush hog they were using, and they'd mow the roughs every 2 to 3 weeks. But the fairways are being mowed every week. It's really amazing to be a new course like that, the work that the maintenance guys have done, because it's very well groomed. It's as nice as the course at Barfield Crescent Park now, minus the tee pads and the trash cans and the benches and stuff. But maintenance guys have done a phenomenal job. Shane Lamb is working with those guys to get the grass growing, and it's really a nice place.
but you don't anticipate additional maintenance associated with keeping it up?
We're able to, our maintenance staff at Richard Siegel Soccer Complex are primarily the group that is taking care of that. So no additional maintenance cost.
We're putting in low-cost maintenance turf fields, so the time saved, be able to reallocate that labor and those resources to maintain this golf course on a regular basis.
The tee boxes is what you're saying?
Well, I mean, once we put in turf fields, we went from mowing fields from 2 to 3 times a week to grooming them once a week. So,
Oh, I
At
see.
Siegel, when,
It's
Reallocation of the
and then we'll also use the additional tee to physically put in the tee boxes. But in terms of maintenance, we're not having to make a lot of adjustments.
I got you. Yeah, if there are no questions, I'll second. Unless somebody else has got anything?
I just wanted to ask one question to make sure I'm understanding. This land that's been utilized for this, we're not taking something away to be able to utilize this land now for disc golf?
this is city-owned property already. It's nothing that's being taken away. It's something that's technically owned by the water department. We've worked with them in partnership to be able to use this because it's unusable right now. They don't spray on it currently. They might end up having to do something with it, in the long term in the future. But for right now, it's this property is a good space for that. We've worked with Mr. Gore and the other members there, Mr. Hughes with the water department. They think it'd be a good use of that since it's right next to our Central Valley trailhead and then the North Murfreesboro Greenway.
And the thing about this particular piece of property is there's significant elevation changes throughout. So to build any other type of park feature, it's going to take a great amount of subgrading and work to get the property ready. Whereas here, that's the ideal scenario for a disc golf course, to have those elevation changes and those types of features on the property.
What is the current usage numbers for Barfield for disc golf on an annual basis? Roughly.
Of course, it's an open public, so it's kind of like tracking Greenway. We've never actually tracked it. So the way we track it is our local disc golf community. locally, they sell tags for membership, so our local disc golf community is in excess of 200 members, and that's more of your professional, serious guys. But anytime you go out there, you're waiting between holes because of the number of people on the course. The other issue with having that many people is we start dealing with some environmental issues when you have that much traffic at one location. By splitting that traffic, we can reduce some of the compaction and some of the wear on the course, helping us maintain that and keep it longer as well.
Yeah, I can sort of second that just from being out there this summer a couple times at Barfield. We played a couple other places too, but at Barfield, each time I was there, it was, I waited on half the tee boxes, had to let players play through. I mean, it was fairly, I don't want to really say crowded, it didn't feel crowded, but I mean, just to give you an idea, last time I was out there, I was coming down one fairway and another group was coming down. It was Trey Duke and a couple of other adults and probably 3 or 4 of their kids, I mean, it just, everybody just slinging discs everywhere. I mean, it was there's a lot of activity out there, I guess is the point, so.
A good example is, 15 years ago, I was heavily involved with tournaments and running tournaments and stuff, and for us to get 90 players at a tournament was a really big disc golf tournament. Now we set up a temporary course in the front of Barfield to be able to hold 180 players. So that's the max we can have, is 180 players at a tournament. Now by adding an additional course, we can almost double that number for tournaments we host here in Murfreesboro. So, and those do bring in a lot of out-of-town guests, a lot of people. So it'll expand what we're able to do and also help expand on the tourism side a little bit too.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second for the approval of the Central Valley Disc Golf Course. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. What an awesome addition to our programs and whose ever idea it was. I mean, that's a jewel right there. I got a feeling that Thomas had a lot
I've
to
been
do with
begging Nate for land for a while now.
it. Well,
It's thanks a lot, like I said, the work that's gone into it with just internal resources is, I can't say enough about that, but also the water department letting us use that property and just for kind of the highest and best use for what we can do. It's very gracious.
very good. Okay, next on the agenda, Kristen Hopkins. How you doing?
Good, how are y'all?
We're good. You've got a neat program here also.
I hope so, yeah. All right, so a couple of years ago, the Natural Resource Team put together a mini native plant nursery. This project was to help facilitate native plantings within parks. Some of our gardens and bioretentions and things require regionally appropriate native plants. So we started a little nursery to do that. And that was one of our goals. Another one of our goals is to provide these plants for our citizens to use in their home landscaping. That will help kind of curb habitat loss, pollinator declining numbers, using native plants in your home landscaping. So we want to bring these out to our community, and to do that, we have to have a nursery license from the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. So I'm seeking approval for getting that nursery license. It's a free license, as we are a nonprofit. So it's, it doesn't cost anything, and it's just a simple turn in the application. They come check out the facility and approve it. So that's all.
Very good. Any questions for Kristen? If there are none, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the of the plant project.
I move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. I've got one more thing, sorry. So At the Wilderness Station, we've been working with the Tennessee Naturalist Program, which is a separate nonprofit organization that has 10 chapters across the state. They work with environmental education facilities to bring adult natural history education to adults. And so what we want to do is we want to create a chapter at the Wilderness Station and provide this 11-class course over several months to adults. And TNP is the Tennessee Naturalist Program. They set the registration costs, they run the registration. We administer the program and provide instructors and things. This is kind of adult college level education. So it's a little bit different than maybe what we see at the Wilderness Station, but I think it's going to put us on the map as far as providing more advanced classes and things for adults. So I am seeking approval to be a chapter at the Wilderness Station for the Tennessee Naturalist Program.
That's a really cool thing right there. That's, and you mentioned what, maybe 20 or 25 capacity for
Yes, so it'll be a class of 20.
20, okay.
20 adults. Yeah, that's the max. When you get out on the field with 20 people, it can get a little, any more than that, it can get a little bit hard to manage, but yeah.
And you hope these graduates will continue their, I saw that they've got to do like 40 hours worth of.
Yes, I'm hoping to recruit a lot of volunteers for the natural
Okay.
resource team.
Yeah, very good.
For lands management, yeah.
Any questions for Kristen on this? If not, do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none.
Thank you.
Very nice. Okay, next on the agenda, the Juneteenth recap. And Von Shell, is she here? There she is.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm well. So as I pull this up, I want to ask the question, what is Juneteenth? So that was a lot of buzz for 2019 until now. And so Juneteenth is Freedom Day. And so we do our annual Juneteenth festival. This is our 17th annual for Rutherford County, the Bradley Academy Museum and Cultural Center. And so we were really boisterous this year and attempted 3 days. And so I'm gonna go right in. And we started off with an art exhibit. We partnered with the Al Gore Center, MTSU. They did an I Am True Black, a play off of I Am True Blue for MTSU students. And we also worked with the Girl Scouts of Rutherford County. We had 2 young people who actually spearhead the Juneteenth art exhibit. One young lady, her name was Jalea, and the young man was Donald. And these students were high school students. And they actually created a art exhibit, an interactive, in conjunction with the I Am True Black. The I Am True Black is a history of Black students, student life, and activism at MTSU. And so we partnered from June 14th, and the art exhibit is actually still up until August the 31st. This exhibit is free to the community, and it was free during the week of Juneteenth. And we had a lot of participation from just Rutherford County school systems, the Murfreesboro City School, to come in and showcase the art exhibit. The next, so to kick off our 3 nights, we actually started with the Authors Night. Authors Night comprised of 7 authors from Rutherford County or the surrounding counties, and this was a meet and greet. We had authors that wrote children's books, nonfiction, self-help, all genres of books. And the Authors Night, we also partnered with One Book, One Community. This initiative is a Read to Succeed book challenge. Each year, they decide to pick one book for the community. And so the museum was one of the sister sites to share the book. These are free books. And so at the Authors Night, we gave out over 36 copies of The Stamped. Our incentive is to do a panel discussion, and we'll, of course, have food and a panel discussion for us to recap the book and just to have a discussion. On Friday night, the youth, again, the Girl Scouts of Rutherford County, Jayla, and Donald Webb, who was a senior for Riverdale High School, they actually came up, they coordinated a youth night. This comprised of live music. They actually had the Rutherford Health Department to partner in Montlow State. At this event, it was raising awareness of Juneteenth, discussing COVID, safe tips throughout the weekend, so the youth were still able to enjoy the festivities, enjoy the performances, but also have any questions answered about COVID. We also had a descendant of Frederick Douglass. This is Kevin Douglas Green, who is a U.S. Colored Troop reenactor, to come out on the Friday evening and to do a skit. Mr. Kevin Douglas Green, he was a part of the 3-day festivities, telling the U.S. Colored Troop stories. We also opened up the museum's 250 years of experience, the room, and answered any questions for the community on that night. So each night we tried to build. So Thursday night was literacy, awareness for the community, but also authors. They discussed how they publish the publications, the process of it. They were able to sign pictures, do photo ops. The next night was the youth night. And then we did our annual Juneteenth celebration. This festival was 3 times as big as the ones before. So we most of the time we range about 20 to 36 vendors. That was the most vendors that we've ever had. We actually had 59 vendors to be a part of the Juneteenth celebration. In addition to the 59 vendors, we had the southern region to just reach out to the museum and seek where they could help, where they could do their outreach. And so we had artists from Georgia, from Florida, and also Tennessee to actually perform on this day. We had a lot of interactives. The young people had so much to do in the kids zone area, from bookmobiles. So we made sure we continued to keep the literacy component very in the forefront for the event. And then we had all types of accessories. I purchased so many items on that event on that day. And we had a lot of dignitaries to come out and help celebrate. We also had Greek, so we actually had a fraternity to step. We had the Patterson Park Community Center Youth Development to man actually the kids zone area. So we did have our city representation. And then again, more images of just the youth, the interactive pieces. We had people to come who's actually celebrated the very first Juneteenth celebration, which we hosted it in 2003. So June 21st, 2003, Delta Sigma Theta, the Rutherford Alumni chapter, and Bradley Academy Museum and Cultural Center partnered, and they were able to host the very first one. So again, this was our 17th annual, and it's grown. A lot of the docents and a lot of the friends of Bradley were there showing their support, enjoyed every minute of it. We also had our fire department there. And here's just a few of the partners, community partners who actually was a part of the event all week long. And then that 3-day weekend, we had MTSU Al Gore Center, Patterson Park Youth Development, Montlow State Community College, Rutherford County Health Department, One Book, One Community, F&K Global, and Starbucks. And we hope that you all save the date. It is 3 days again, June 16th through the 18th.
Awesome. Congratulations to you and your staff and your volunteers. What a great program and festival that was, and just wait till next year. Holy smoke. this year was just, I bet.
Yes.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think if we accidentally went over and not do the 3 program items for the Wilderness Station.
I'm sorry.
Item number 7, I've got Haley here who needs those that are on motion.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, I'm fine with automatic approval.
Yeah.
So since I'm not on there, I'm Haley. I'm one of the program staff out at the Wilderness Station. But I just wanted to run 3 programs by you guys. We've done very similar programs in the past, but they're just new fee structures that we haven't used before. So I'll just kind of detail all 3 programs and then take questions after that. The first one I'm wanting to do is a mini Rangers camp in October. This will be a little mini camp for 3- and 4-year-old kids. They have to attend with their parent or guardian, and it'll be 3 mornings in a row, like 9 to 11:30. And I'd like to charge $30 per kid for that. We actually did this back in the spring when you guys weren't meeting, and it was just wildly popular. It was such a special time. I had parents coming, bring me presents afterwards because it was so special that they got to do their first s'more with their kid. They got to go get in the creek with the kids and catch crawfish, and just really fun activities for these little kids, kind of transitioning them from maybe being at home all day with a parent or, you know, into a more school environment or camp environment that they'll be coming into soon. So that $30 covers craft supplies and kind of the snack that I provide daily. And one of the days, the snack is like a full campfire lunch with hot dogs and s'mores and all that. So that is program 1. Program 2 is a kids' day out at the Wilderness Station. I'm wanting to do October 9th, and this is going to essentially be where like kids, I think 6 to 13 can be dropped off at the Wilderness Station or out at Barfield with me and another staff member for about 6 hours. And I want to charge $50 for that, which might seem kind of high, but that's very cheap childcare if any of you guys are parents. And we will be taking them, hiking them up to our archery range, shooting archery with them, playing gaga ball, giving them a campfire lunch up there, and meeting our live animals and just doing a bunch of really cool activities during that time. So that 6 hours is basically when parents can come drop the kids off with us. Parents, you know, go run errands or just go sit at home relaxing, but we're doing really cool stuff with the kids. So I think it'll be really successful, but I do want to charge $50 for that. And I will also spend part of that $50 per kid on their food. And then the third activity or event, we're not charging for it, but I wanted to run it by you guys anyways because I will be hiring a live band for it. I want to do a winter solstice celebration at the Wilderness Station in December and just kind of have a free event open to the public. Everybody come. I'm going to have a small kids area that hopefully the kids will go play in and the parents can sit at the tables and enjoy the live music. We've done similar, like if you guys are familiar with the Music in the Wild series, we used to do free concerts at Barfield quite regularly, but we just haven't for a while. So I'd like to offer that. And again, there wouldn't be a fee. I imagine we get really good attendance. I want to provide snacks and drinks, so kids area, live music, but I will be spending money on that live music. So those are the 3 programs I was hoping to get approval for.
Very good, Haley. Any questions for Haley? You have to remind me, winter solstice, when would that be
I
approximately?
think it's always December 21st, or if it's not always, it's somewhere right in there. But yeah, just the shortest day of the year. It's always right before Christmas.
So the event would be around and then,
Yeah, I think this year it is December 21st, and that's silly that I don't know if it's always December 21st or not, because I think it does change based on the year, but it's just scientifically the shortest day of the year, and kind of a lot of people like to celebrate because it's kind of like entering a time where, you know, you're more hibernating, more relaxed, you know, you're so active during the summer, and it's kind of just entering a quieter time, a special time of relaxation and stuff, so just kind of basically an excuse to have a party and live music.
sounds like fun. So, any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
And do I have a second?
Yes, second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Of course, there are none.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Haley. Sorry, I kind of skipped over you a little bit there. Skipped over the minutes too earlier. I did catch that, but we'll catch that at the end. So, okay, next up on the agenda, Janelle Jenkins. No, you've been busy, always.
Oh, yeah. Good afternoon, Commission. I am Janelle Jenkins, Superintendent of Patterson Park Community Center, and I'm excited to give you all some updates. There we go. All right. So we just wrapped up a successful summer enrichment program this year. Our program was led by Program Coordinator Crystal Ellis McFerrin and Facility Supervisor Derek Blake. We served a daily average of 75 youth, ages 8 to 12. We offered structured recreation activities, as well as provided free breakfast and free lunch, which is a part of our partnership and with the Murfreesboro City Schools free meal program. I have to take this time to thank our entire staff at Patterson Park Community Center. The summer is our most busiest time of the year, and it definitely takes a balancing act to have structured activities for our summer enrichment program, as well as providing our services for programs and events for over 300 daily visitors. Our community loves our indoor pool, our exercise classes, and also our fitness classes. So we just appreciate our staff for working hard and providing a great and safe environment for our community. Some of our highlights of our summer program include a fantastic field day, a visit from our friends from the Wilderness Station, field trips to Burrow Beach, our first shot camp led by Coach Andy Herzer. In our first shot camp, our kids are introduced to coding, art classes, dance classes, basketball instruction, and character classes. First Shot also sponsored 2 major field trips this year. One was a trip to the National Museum of African American Music in Nashville, and the second trip was to New Frontiers in downtown. Every August, we host a community event. This year, we have a full day planned for all ages. On Saturday, August the 7th, we will have our annual free school supply giveaway. This year will be a drive-through event with our faith-based community partner, First Baptist Church. Later in the day, we will have a throwback party in our parking lot. Murfreesboro native Dr. Vernon Rankins, also known as Daryl J., will provide the music from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. This is guaranteed to be a throwback event like no other. This will be a multi-generational event to bring all generations together to celebrate a great summer. Afterwards, we will show a free movie in our field. We have strategically worked with the Murfreesboro Police Department to ensure safety protocols are met. We appreciate the efforts of Lieutenant Marja Ashley, Sergeant Bryant Mitchell, and our very own Park Police Sergeant Mark Wood and Officer Lee Brandon. At this time, I'd like to highlight a couple of our fitness and wellness programs led by our fitness and wellness program coordinator, Chad Hill. So backed by popular demand, we will have our Toughest Mudder race training. This training will begin August the 9th through September the 30th. It'll run on Thursdays from 6:30 to 7:30 and on Saturdays from 7 to 8. Classes are led by exercise instructor and recreation program instructor Roger Brady. Now, Roger is our Patterson Park superhero. He is a national athlete, and he is bringing his expertise to this training. This will be our 3rd year providing this training. So here's a couple of highlights of Roger's experience. Roger is a 2-time world toughest mudder finisher. From 2015 to 2021, he has competed in a total of 22 tough mudder races. In 2019, he was a top 25 finisher in the Spartan World Championship in his age group. And from 2015 to 2021, he also competed in a total of 29 Spartan races. So that's why we call Roger our superhero. Next, we have our toddler classes and our homeschool PE classes starting back up. Classes will begin August the 10th. These classes are led by our exercise instructor and recreation program instructor, Cindy Shadrick. I've invited Cindy to our commission today. Cindy, come on up. So Cindy is also our superhero at Patterson. Cindy has over 30 years of experience with teaching fitness classes that include senior fitness, youth fitness, water aerobics, and that's just to name a few. She spent the last 10 plus years at Patterson Park Community Center teaching these classes. Cindy started teaching exercise classes at her local church, and she was taught to care for individuals and have a servant mentality. And Cindy, we truly appreciate all of your dedication and your passion for teaching classes at Patterson. All right, and that's your Patterson Park update. Do you have any questions?
Great update, Janelle, and thank you so much to you and your staff and Cindy for everything y'all do. I imagine your pool's been a little bit busier over there this summer too, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, it has. It almost tripled this year in attendance, so
I bet.
we're very grateful for that.
Yeah, so, okay. I expect to see some of the commission members at the Mudder training, and I'll go to the block party, but y'all go. That block party sounds like fun. That's this Saturday?
That's this Saturday.
5 o'clock?
Yes.
The throwback, okay?
And then at 10 is the free school supply giveaway.
Okay, and a movie at 8.
Movies at 8.
Man, awesome, very
Thank
good.
you. Thank you for your
Any
support.
questions for them before they sit down? Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that does all of our new business, but before we journey on, and some of y'all probably have something to say, let's go ahead and get rid of the minutes that I skipped over earlier. So if y'all take a second and look at the minutes, I think Mitzi we got an email that there was a change in there. So considering that, if y'all will look at the minutes, and then I'll entertain a motion to approve. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move approval.
Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
So, commission members, anybody have anything they want to mention?
I did want to mention something. Chairman Nate Williams, I know I wasn't here at the last meeting. I noticed yesterday was the National Night Out that we usually host every year, but I noticed it didn't happen this time. I was just wondering what went down or why that didn't happen this year.
We looked at logistics. We talked with our police department about that. There's an alternate date that they have set aside. I think, Janelle, is it October 5th? So we are going to do our event on October 5th.
Okay.
That gives a little bit more time. The police department didn't know exactly how they wanted to proceed this year. We knew we wanted to do something, so what we're doing is engaging the community, like with the events that Janelle discussed and some other things that we're doing at McFadden Community Center are kind of back-to-school events, and then we're going to have the designated event on October 5th in partnership with the Murfreesboro Police Department.
Okay. I was just thinking, I know in times past, we have tried to go around to all the areas, and some of the attendance is not that well, but I'm thinking if we could just probably in future for the National Night Out, whatever day we decide to do it, is just have maybe one big location and everybody just gather there instead of trying to hit all 26 areas, you know, or maybe just hit 4 main areas. And because like I said, we usually go around to hit all of them, but like I said, sometimes the attendance is not that well, and we just kind of focus on maybe the major ones like Patterson, maybe Siegel, or, you know, just certain areas, and then just kind of rotate it, you know. Next, if we hit these 4 this year, maybe next year we can hit another 4. Just don't spread it ourselves so thin, you know.
Well, I think you'd be glad to know our staff is thinking the same thing. You know, we want to really make it back to what the true intention of what National Night Out is.
Right.
So what we decided to do is really focus on McFadden Community Center and then Patterson Park Community Center. So that's where you'll see our events in October, and then we're focusing our back-to-school events there as well. So we'll see if we want to change that next year. Like I said, we'll talk to police, but our staff really wants to focus on those 2 locations to make sure we're really engaging with the true nature of what National Night Out is.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Nate, for the uninitiated, which I'm not familiar with that particular program, can you maybe give me a 30,000-foot up kind of description of what that program
Right.
is all
So,
about?
Thomas, do you know how long that program has existed? Do you remember?
Which one?
National Night Out. I don't. It's a long-standing national initiative.
It's
the
close
national.
to a little over 20 years.
Yeah, it's a national night out against crime, and it's, you know, organized through the national police organizations where they encourage police departments to get back involved inside neighborhoods and engage in a fun way. So what we do is we try to partner with the police department and provide venues and opportunities and funding for some of the fun things that might be able to help people in neighborhoods and their communities see each other and then interact with the police, just a community event. So it's a nationwide thing. There's usually a date set. It's usually the first Tuesday in August.
Right.
But like I said, this year we decided we're going to push that back due to a couple reasons, but we're really going to focus for that event to be in October.
The national office in Texas, they set those later fall dates about 4 years ago because of the heat in certain areas of the country. So that they've always, the last several years, they've had an alternate date, you know, as opposed to the first Tuesday in August. So that October 5th, that's still a national recognition of National Night Out as well.
So we'll make sure we get that information. It's a fun time to get out, and we have a lot of fun with those.
Yeah.
Good info, Ricky.
I would like to commend Parks and Rec and the city of Murfreesboro for that fabulous fireworks display in July. We ran out of space on Medical Center Parkway, but it was well attended as a community event, and they all did just an outstanding job with that program.
Thank you, Dr. Barr.
Very good. Mr. Don Turner, you, last month, you mentioned something about your youth golf folks program out there at the golf course. You want to give us a little update there?
The program is going well. We've had a lot of people sign up. Kids, from the time they can swing a club until age 17, all they got to do is come sign up. They get a card. They can play at Bloomfield anytime they want to. But it's really going well.
Very good.
I'd like to speak on behalf of the golf team as well. Emily and Megan have been teaching golf lessons to our Special Olympics athletes, helping to prepare them for some tournaments that are coming up. Special Olympics was really slow getting back going, so the golf tournaments is really the only offering they had this summer. And the staff there, the pros at Old Fort, welcomed them in and set up times so that they were able to get lessons each week to get prepared for these upcoming tournaments. So congrats to that team.
Yeah, Emily and Megan are both really good, especially with the kids. and with the adults also. Emily Miller is an MTSU graduate, played golf for MTSU, and she's taken over for Jex Wilson, who retired, moved back to Florida, but he had been working with the kids for years. And Megan Brewer does a really good job. She teaches mostly adults, and we've got two good ones.
Very good. If there's no other questions or
Mr. Chairman,
information?
I just got one question for Nate. And if you can answer this generally, not specifically, I know you've given us a very detailed budget here, but I'm just curious to know what type of expense we incurred over the last year to mitigate COVID-19.
Explain that question just a
Well,
little. What type of, how much COVID costs?
Extra cleanings and that type of thing?
You know,
You have any feel for
I
that?
could speculate. Our staff stepped up big time, and really everybody took part in the cleaning. Let me see if I can get that number for you. I'd hate to even guess because I don't know how much extra. I do know we saved significantly on a lot of line items, and some of those were reallocated to of course, to funding the necessity of cleaning. But I couldn't give you an accurate.
Yeah, it's, if you don't mind, I mean, just something general
We'll
to
work on
understand that, because I know that was obviously unplanned to have that level of whatever it is, and just want to kind of
To
get.
add to that, because of our usage from our customers slowed, our staff, we were able to allocate additional staff to do additional cleaning so that we had the hands on the forefront, the people to clean it, as opposed to buying expensive equipment to do those cleanings. So a lot of that cleaning was done by hand by Parks and Recreation staff. The staff did a wonderful job of reallocating duties and reassigning, and everybody kind of jumped in there and made sure that they were doing their part. And we have one of the best staffs in the state. I'm convinced of that, because we were able to mitigate those changes and daily changes sometimes, but with minimal expense.
And it's still facing you now, still out there now. to
Yeah,
a
we
certain
see it.
extent.
Yeah, we see it. Or like I said, we're prepared. I think what I think, if you don't mind, just talking about COVID for a second.
Yeah.
What that helped us do over the course of the past year is it made us readapt everything that we do, and we could still provide the same facilities programs. So we had to adapt all the programs, events that we do, and still provide those. I think what it did for our department as a whole, and the things that we had to offer at one point, our outdoor spaces, our open spaces, our trails, our greenway, were one of the only things where people could get out and exercise. And we made really a vow from the very beginning that no matter what, we're not going to close these spaces, because not everybody has a space to go to get outside. So I think it really, people got, I say this all the time, but during that time, those couple months, people got just, who weren't familiar with Parks and Recreation, got a glimpse of what we do through some of our open spaces, and we were able to really roll back the curtain. And I think they're seeing now all the offerings that we have. We're well supported by our council. I think they believe in the initiatives and the facilities and everything we put on. So our usage has gone up tremendously, and we're excited for this next year. I expect that when I bring this budget report to you next year, it's going to be a different story.
Yeah. And I know I hit you cold with that, but I've kind of been thinking about that, seeing some of the numbers here. I said, man, that had to have had some impact.
I'll see if we can pull some of those numbers, just rough estimate today, on increase in that this afternoon.
Good question. Yes, sir. Okay. As we all know, we're truly blessed here in Murfreesboro with our many facilities and our many programs. And with that, we'll stand adjourned.